I only have like, let's say 2 more minutes to go. I am pressure cooking. I thought I was going to be pressure canning, but me and running my stove for about an hour and a half. So I'm going to try pressure cooking first and then find out how can I seal the jars once it's in there. And I had it at pressure 15 for about 3 minutes, 5 minutes or whatever, and turned my stove off and let it cool down on its own. Okay, I'm starting my second pot of pressure cooking. I have Great Northern beans. The first time I did it, this is the first time I ever did this, and they are a little too done. And again, when they say 3 minutes, they mean exactly 3 minutes. So it's 9:05. I'm not gonna let it get all the way up to pressure 15. I'm not gonna let it get to 15. I'm gonna try 10, 11, somewhere like that, and then take it off of the heat, because now I'm cooking black beans. I'm gonna wait until it gets to about 10, and I'm gonna turn my heat down at 10 instead of 15, because the black beans are even smaller than the Great Northern beans. So I'm gonna turn it off now. And I don't know how long it takes it to cool down, because I've turned the stove off. And we're at 10. I think I want to remove it from the heat so they could cool off. One moment while I transfer the pot to cool to another eye. Okay, I took it off of that eye because it probably take a minute for that eye to cool off. So I'm gonna let it cool down on its own now on a cold eye stove. So yes, now I feel better. By the time it cool off, yes, those beans will be done. Because they say it only takes like 3 minutes at 15, pressure 15, but I'm going to do 10, pressure 10, and let it cool down. And I'm learning my pot. Be back. You know what? I basically forgot to turn the camera back on, but I done been in here cleaning up and doing some of everything else. But what I did was I had my jars in here, keeping them warming, getting them good and warm so I could put good and warm beans inside of them. And once I was ready to fill them up, I don't know if these are ready for me to take them out yet, but I'm going to let them stay in a little bit longer because I want to see bubbles coming out of the tops of them. But they are sitting on a little rack, and I think I could go ahead and turn my stove off though. But I could see bubbles coming out from the tops of them, getting the air out of them. But by all means, please don't follow this as an instructional video, because it is not. What I'm doing is to not use my electric so long. I'm not a fan of me burning the electricity like that. So I cooked the beans for about 3 minutes, And literally, when I say about 3 minutes, that's about how long my stove was turned on. And I took them off of the eye and let my pressure cooker cool all the way down. And then I got my jars hot. And then now I'm water bathing them to seal the jars. So basically, I would say the longest I've used the electricity is about 20-25 minutes. I'm not sure. You know, it took a while for my water to get hot, but I used hot water from the sink first and then had this getting hot. So basically, the longest was getting the water hot to heat up my jars, to get them prepped for the beans to be put in them. But that was my objective, to not use the electricity so long. So now what I'm going to do is, and the way, once I take these out, see, I see bubbles coming out from the tops of them. The way I'm going to know that it's sealed is that when you press the top of them and they don't bubble up and down, that's how you know your jars are sealed. And so I'm going to be taking them out in a few minutes. I still see a lot of bubbles. I'm going to let these bubbles, I don't know, I guess I'm supposed to wait till all the bubbles come out. I see bubbles coming out of the jars, or I can see bubbles bubbling up through the jars. So I guess I'll let it stay a few minutes longer, and then I'm going to take them out and sit them on the towel and let them cool off. And when I test it, I'll be back. Okay, this is an experiment. I read somewhere where they turn the bottles upside down to seal the tops as well. So I have right now 3 turned upright, cooling off. 3 of these bottles have beans in them, and one of them just have the juice from the beans. So this one is, I didn't have enough, so I just filled it up with both Great Northern beans and black beans, and I turned it upside down to see how this would help with the sealing. But hopefully these will seal as they cool off, and how I will know it's sealed is if the tops of them don't bounce up and down. And I don't know. I'll have to see. But yes, they're cooling off now. Okay, a few hours later, I come back to check, and there are no bubbles. It's not bubbling up, but that's one that's still not sealed.